Okay. So my name is Katie and I run my own cake business. It's called My Girls Cake Shop. You can look at my website if you want to. It's mygirlscakeshop.com, or you can look at my Facebook page. It's the same thing, My Girls Cake Shop. I live in Iowa, and I went to the French Pastry School of Chicago for their cake program. So I just thought I'd put this on here because I've been doing a lot of cake pops. It's very popular right now, and I was having a hard time in the beginning doing the cake pops and getting everything right at first, and nice size cake pops and not falling off the sticks. There's tips and tricks to doing them that makes it much easier to get them done. If you hear stuff in the background, I don't know, but those are my kids playing. I work from home. I have my own little area in my house, and in Iowa you can do that, so I'm pretty lucky. Anyway, I would suggest getting the Cake Pop book from Bakerella. It explains how the basic steps go of making cake pops, and it does have a troubleshooting thing in there, but it's not that great for their troubleshooting. Anyway, so the main thing that you do is you bake your cake and you crumble it up, and then you mix up the icing. I like to use canned icing still, even though I run my own shop and I can make all different kinds of buttercream. I like the canned icing because it gives the cake better texture when it's crumbled and it's mixed together. I find that it's not as oily and it's not too soft. So that's what I do. The other thing, Faith, can you quiet down, please? Thank you. The other thing that I do is when I bake the cake, I cut off the edges of the cake. So all the sides, tops and bottom, just to get that crumb, that browned part off of it. That way when you crumb everything up, there's no hard crunchy spots in it, and that really helps to get the kind of like the perfect shaped cake ball. That's your base anyway. The other thing that I suggest doing is making your cake from scratch rather than making it from a boxed cake mix, because the boxed cake mix has oil, and sometimes when you do that and you make your cake ball and you dip it, if there's a little hole in the coating or something like that, you will get little leaks of oil out of the coating, and that's what I have found, that if you use boxed cake mix, that's what it'll do. So I recommend that, or anything that has oil in it. Like I make a from scratch red velvet cake, and it requires oil, and when I use that to do my cake pops, it tends to have little leaks of oil that comes out, and I just kind of try to stop it up with a little bit of the melted chocolate or the wafers or whatever you use to do it. So as I said, you cut all the sides off. That's one tip. Let's see, another tip is the gloves. I like to wear gloves whenever I'm working, just sanitation wise, but it helps to not get your hands tend to get kind of gummy when you're rolling the balls. And then the other thing is the consistency of the dough. That's a big thing. You don't want the dough, well, I guess, yeah, it's kind of dough after you mix it with the icing. You don't want it too dry and you don't want it too wet, because if it's too dry, it won't hold its shape and it cracks, and then it falls off of the sticks that you use. And if you have it too wet, then it's too heavy, and when you go to tap the excess chocolate off, then the ball is falling off of the stick. So I have found that when I bake it, it says 3/4 of the can to use. I don't go by that for what it says in Bakerella. I go by my own amounts, and that is just till I get the consistency to be like clay, so it will hold its shape. And I don't know if you can see where that area is, but it's kind of smooth, so you can mix it with your hands. Even if it has some cracks in it like this, it will roll together okay. So that's what you want it to be, more like a clay, molding clay, if you've ever used that. And it gets almost the perfect ball to it. If you have a crack in it like this, that's okay. You just kind of pinch it, little pinches together, and it'll look like that when you get done pinching it, and then you just kind of roll it again. And if there's a little crack there, you're okay. It's not gonna be terrible. It won't fall off of the ball, and like I still have a little tiny crack in it, but that's not gonna matter. If I want to fix it, I'll fix it. And another thing to do that helps everything be consistent is use a scale. Just any scale works. I like these. This is what we had at school. I got this at a local kitchen store, and I use grams. That's how I was taught. So I turn it on. I use a little container. I got these scaling containers at the dollar store. I put that on my my scale, and then I take the dough and I measure out 32 grams for a large stick cake pop. If you're going to do the smaller sticks, let me find those real quick. If you're going to be using like the smaller sticks that you can get like at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, then you want to do 27 grams of cake. It's a smaller ball, it's less likely to fall off. I order my sticks online at, it's called Chef Rubber, chefrubber.com, and I think mine are the 7-inch sticks, and you can get a lot of them for a lot less money than you would pay at like Michael's or Hobby Lobby. I think I get 500 of them for like $45 or something, and I think you get 25 of like the little ones for $3 or something. So you're getting a better deal if you buy in bulk, and if you plan on making a lot of these, I would go to chefrubber.com. And then also if you want to cover them, where's my little cover? The time where I don't have it out and available ready. Anyway, you can get your containers and stuff. I probably just showed you my bum that whole time. You can get your containers and your wrappers and everything at the craft store if you're not doing very many, but if you're going to do in bulk, I would suggest going to Chef Rubber. You get a size 4x4 in their candy packages, and it's more of like the crunchy cellophane. It's not that soft, like rubbery, you can't really see through the plastic. This looks much prettier when it's wrapped in ribbon. So that's that. What else? The supplies, I have that. The scaling, the gloves, the oil, I think I did all that. Showed you the consistency of it. Like I said, I measure out the 32 grams for the large sticks. Then what I like to do is, I like to dip the stick, which I'll show you. Well, first, I should say this. First, when you get done rolling your cake balls, like if you want to get this done quickly, roll about 12 of them. Put them in your freezer. While those are in the freezer, roll out some more of the dough that you have left over. Once the next 12 are rolled, pull the ones from the freezer, and you can put them in the fridge or you can keep them in the freezer, however you want to do it, depending on how much you have dough left. For time wise. So once you put those in the freezer and you're making those, then you pull them out and you can start dipping those. So what I do is I would have this coming out of the freezer because it wouldn't be in there for that long. You only need it in there for like 15 minutes. Then I have my chocolate ready, which I do use the Wilton melting pots, and I just dip about this much on the end of it and I pop it into my cake ball. And then I would put these in the fridge. So it would just set on its side on a cookie sheet. I just line a cookie sheet with parchment paper, and I do 4 at a time. So once I put them in the freezer and I take them out and I put the sticks in, I do those 4 at a time, and then I put them in the refrigerator and I start rolling again. So I kind of continually have a line of cake pops going through. You can do different flavors. I don't know if you guys want to know about different flavors that you can do, but I do a lemon one, which is one of my best sellers. And this is how the cake pop ends up looking after you get done with it. You can make it look even smoother if you want to put a little bit more time in, but to me this is pretty perfect. I don't mind it. So for my lemon ones, I use a lemon cake. I mix some lemon oil into the chocolate wafers, the white chocolate wafers. I put a little bit of yellow in that, and then that's when I dip my cake pops, and I put some crushed lemon heads on top, and it's amazing. Here's a cookies and cream cake pop that I do. I'm trying to think of anything else that I have had issues with. Cracking, when the cake pops crack, you've kept them in the freezer for too long and you haven't really let them rest when you bring them out. So if you're rolling and it's taking you a while to roll and you've already put some in the freezer like I do, and then you take them out, let them sit a little bit. Don't dip a cake pop that's still frozen, because your shell is going to crack, and then when it cracks, then you want to get it covered up, or it just doesn't look as nice as a cake pop that's completely sealed. You know, that looks a lot nicer, especially when you have it wrapped and ribboned. You want that to be, and I tie a little ribbon around mine, and I think they're super cute. But anyway, you don't want a cracked one in there when you're going to go to sell these, if you guys choose to sell. I don't know. The other thing I have found, that everybody says you can't freeze cake pops. Yes, you can. You can freeze cake pops as long as they are wrapped. If you have them out unwrapped, they're going to get the condensation on the outside of them, and it's just icky. If you wrap these and you ribbon these and you seal them up, you can put them in the freezer, let them de-thaw in the wrapper, and then all the condensation goes to the outside of the cake pop, and you're good. So if you have a big bunch of cake pops to do, like I do them for bridal fairs that I go to, and I hand them out to the brides, I'm going to have like 500 cake pops or more for this bridal show I have coming up in January. You can make them, put them in the freezer. They still taste fine. I know people have an aversion to putting things in the freezer. Oh, it's not fresh, it's not fresh. I went to pastry school. Some of the best chefs in the entire world teach at this school, and they froze cake. So if it's good for them, it's good for me. It should be good for you, I think. So that's helpful when you're just a small person in a small business and you don't have any workers working for you. Freezer is your friend. Just make sure that you keep everything sealed and tight, and so that not a lot of air is getting in there, or a lot of moisture or anything like that. That's your whole thing with the freezer. Limestone helps with moisture in the freezer or in the fridge if you're having problems with fondant or something like that. I'm getting into more stuff than what I need to. If you have any questions about cakes or cake pops or fondant, or starting a cake business, or you want to know more of anything, just message me or find me on Facebook, and I'll be glad to help. If you want some more tutorials, comment below and I will make some for you. So I hope you're having a great holiday. And in the book, in the cake pop book, they have little snowmen. She shows you how to do those, and you can do little Christmas trees, and it is a nice little treat for Christmas and any time of year. So I'm not sure when you'll be watching this video, and hopefully it helps, and I'll talk to you later, guys. I hope you have a great night.